Hello, my name is Joo-hyun Park, a PhD student in IIIX lab. Today I present a seminar on the paper CNS-edit 3D shape editing via coupled neural shape optimization. Before we get into details on the paper, I would like to introduce some background information on semantic-aware 3D shape editing. Semantic-aware 3D shape editing refers to the modification of a 3D shape based on its high-level features rather than its raw geometry. For instance, given a 3D shape of a car as below, semantic modification allows the modification of the shape based on its semantic parts, such as wheels or windows. You could rotate the wheels to different directions or enlarge the windows while preserving the overall shape of the car. However, semantic modification based on algorithmic means is difficult to achieve as it requires an understanding of the parts' functions and roles. The advent of the neural networks, however, has presented new opportunities for this type of editing, offering neural shape representations that facilitate latent space 3D shape manipulations and a range of advanced editing features. However, many current methods still struggle with the edit quality, especially when the input primitives are coarse. For example, editing a fine-grained manner would be easier for the mesh on the left than the mesh on the right. To address such issues, the authors present the paper CNS-edit, which was accepted to ACM SIGGRAPH 2024 as the conference paper. It introduces a novel representation of 3D shapes called coupled neural shape, or CNS for short. Utilizing CNS allows the edit operations that are semantic aware, intuitive, and fine-grained. Now let's take an in-depth look into the method. First, we define what a CNS is. CNS is a combination of a global latent code Z and the 3D neural feature volume F. The global latent code Z encodes the overall shape semantics, whereas the 3D neural feature volume F encodes the spatial context to associate with specific spatial changes in the shape that the editing operation targets. We will now take a step-by-step approach to find out how these components are generated. The input shape is transformed into wavelet coefficients in a two-step approach, which is a method introduced in the paper Neural Wavelet Domain Diffusion for 3D Shape Generation. The shape is initially sampled into a high-resolution truncated sine distance field volume, which is then consequently converted into a wavelet coefficient volume using wavelet decomposition. Because the wavelet decomposition holds local support property, a local change in the wavelet volume affects only an associated local region of the shape and vice versa. This allows the editing of local parts while preserving the overall shape of the input geometry. Now with the wavelet coefficients, we can extract the global latent code Z. For this purpose, the authors leveraged the pre-trained diffusion-based autoencoder from the paper presented in the slide. The encoder of the model allows us to generate the global latent code Z, which is then applied an additional fine-tuning process to enhance its inherent semantic features. And while the global latent code Z holds the semantic features of the input geometry, it lacks the spatial context required for editing operation. Therefore, we need to extract the neural feature volume F, the second and final component that comprises CNS. The extraction process is composed of three steps. First, we initialize a neural volume filled with random noise. Then the volume is denoised using the pre-trained unit architecture for T time steps. And the denoised volume, along with the global latent code Z, is fed into the unit as the final step. Specifically, in the final step, the feature volume from the fourth last layer of the unit is taken as the neural feature volume. The reasons to this will be further discussed in the experiments section. One thing to note about the global latent code Z and the neural feature volume F is that they are closely coupled, meaning the modifications made to one can be transferred to the other. The changes made to Z can be simply transferred to F by the forward process, and the changes made to F can be transferred to Z by computing the gradients of F and backpropagating to Z. Based on this attribute, we can define the shape editing task as a two-step approach. First, we derive the objective function based on the type of the editing operation, and then we co-optimize the volume F and the global latent code Z accordingly. In the paper, there exist 4 types of editing operators: copy, resize, delete, and drag. The copy operator copies a portion of the input shape and pastes it onto some other location in the shape. The resize operator scales a selected region in the shape about a chosen anchor point along desired directions. The delete operator removes a selected part in the input shape, and the drag operator drags the local geometry around the point toward the target location such that the geometries along the path can be adapted to the changes induced by the drag. While some of the operators are partially achievable by traditional methods, the paper's method considers the editing operation more semantically, as can be seen when resizing a part of the shape. You can see that the symmetric part on the other side has also been resized, meaning that the method considers the symmetry factor into account when editing. And because the operators are atomic, we can create new operators by combining the existing ones. For example, we can create the cut and paste operator by combining the copy operator with the delete operator. Okay, so let us now get into details on defining the objective function for the optimization. The objective function consists of 2 components, gamma and v. Gamma is a list of spatial coordinates that was selected for editing. V is the target feature values associated with the spatial coordinates in gamma. The objective function is to have the current features of gamma to mimic the target features in V. The derivations of gamma and V differ by the editing operator and will be explained in a few moments. Assuming that we have derived gamma and V, the optimization process is as follows. We first initialize the neural volume F0 based on the current global latent code Z0. Then the optimization loop begins, where we apply the objective function on the current F0 and the desired target V to backpropagate the gradients. After the optimization step, we decode the optimized CNS to produce the edited shape. So how do we define the gamma and V for the editing operators? For the copy operator, we want the coordinates of the target area to have the features of the selected coordinates, so the gamma is set by shifting each coordinate in the current location by the user-defined displacement vector, and the V is set as the features of the selected coordinates. The gamma for the resize operator is same as the selected coordinates, as we only need to resize them, and the target feature V is generated by 3 steps. First, we find the bounding box B that encompasses the selected coordinates. Then B is resized into a new bounding box B slash based on the specified anchor point and the resized direction. Since the target feature values V are located in B slash and they come proportionally from those of the original B, we apply trilinear interpolation onto them to obtain the target feature value V. The delete operator is rather simple, as the gamma is set to the selected coordinates and the target feature V is copied from those of the empty space within the volume. The acquisition of gamma and V for the drag operator is a little more complicated than the others. It consists of 2 iteration steps, namely a motion supervision and a point tracking. Given a source point A and the target point B, we progressively copy and paste the features around A along a linear path towards B. The motion supervision step can be seen as copying the feature step, whereas the point tracking step being the search for the next location that follows the linear path. In the motion supervision step, we find the local neighborhood coordinates based on the radius parameter r1. Then we translate the neighbors by the vector u, which is a unit vector towards the point B from the current point, to define the gamma. The target features v are set as the features of the current neighbors and are copied to the targets into the gammas. In the point tracking step, we look for the next point to apply motion supervision step. The point is selected within the radius of R2 around the current point, and the point with the highest similarity to the original point A is chosen as the target. The process repeats until the point B is reached. The experiments section presents results on various comparative evaluations with previous methods. The authors used the datasets of ShapeNet, ABC, and SMPL, and comparison target methods include dual SDF, spaghetti, slide, and deep meta handles. The comparison consists of a quantitative and qualitative methods, with quantitative method including user studies. The quality score evaluates the visual appeal of the shapes, whereas the matching score determines how well the shapes align with the user operations. This section presents the qualitative comparison results, and we can observe the results generated by the proposed method showcases the finest quality compared to the others. The results from other methods do not represent the expected results of the drag operator, and we can observe some results exhibiting holes in the surfaces. The quantitative comparison results support our observations as both the evaluation metrics and the user studies present the best scores for the proposed method. And here is the ablations test that demonstrates why the authors decided to extract the neural feature volume from the 4th layer. The shallow layers, such as the 15th layer, provides rich spatial context, but they contain limited shape semantics, resulting in the compromised shapes. The deeper layers, such as the 9th layer, provides more shape semantics, but they lack the spatial context to modify the target shape. The 12th layer, the one chosen by the authors, clearly demonstrates the best results. And while the results seem appealing, there exists some limitations to this work. First, the pre-trained models are category specific, meaning that we cannot edit arbitrary shapes using a single pre-trained model. Second, there is a bottleneck in terms of processing time, which requires over a minute. And third, there are many editing operations that have not been implemented by the authors, such as the rotation. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. Thank you.